A pleasant and wonderful day to everyone. My name is Deguit from grade 11 STEM A. My presentation this day concerns about my qualitative research entitled The Perceptions of Elementary Students Towards the Effectiveness of Modular Learning. Education is the key to success, but how are we going to learn and to study if our current situation is perilous? Is the implementation of modular learning by the Department of the Education effective? Does this way of learning can lead to success in the future? We can find the answers for these questions in the following slides. Introduction. In the year 2019, COVID-19 struck the world. Many countries were affected and many people suffered. Every country had a hard time adjusting to the new normal way of living. Because of this pandemic, many were confused if the school year 2020 will continue. Eventually, the Department of Education decided to continue the said school year. Since face-to-face classes were not allowed, they made some alternatives so that the students can continue their classes in their houses. The two learning modes that they've made are the online and modular learning modes. Online learning uses internet and attends classes through Google Meet, Zoom, and other video calling apps. It requires to have a stable internet connection and a gadget so that their studying will not be interrupted. Modular learning uses printed modules. The school will provide that modules and the students will answer it either in the module itself or in a separated paper or notebook. Most of the elementary students in the Philippines, especially in the rural areas, use modular distance learning. Because of the lack of technology and skills in using it, elementary students that use online class are seldom and are most common in the city area. Some students may be learning and can learn by themselves, but others cannot. Some will have the guidance of their parents and other siblings, while some students have not. Other students can access the internet to research their topic, but some students cannot. Students are not equal to each other. Everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses. This study will focus on the modular mode of learning that is being done nowadays by public schools. Further, this research seeks to know if elementary students can cope up with the new normal way of learning. Also, it seeks to inform society of what are their perceptions about the modular distance learning that is being done nowadays. Now we're going to proceed to the theoretical framework. This study is anchored on the theory of Maley's and Macro's study entitled Students' Perception of Distance Learning, Online Learning, and the Traditional Classroom. In their study, distance learning and online learning have a lot of benefits to the students in their university. Since the student populations have consisted of single, residential, working, married, and non-traditional students, having online and distance learning can help a lot. Further, research showed that some students agreed that they can learn through online learning. It has a lot of advantages since we're living in a modern world. Some advantages include saving their time, fitting in better with their schedule, and enabling them to take more courses. On the other hand, some students believe that they can't learn in online classes. They prefer traditional than online courses. Generally, students do not want to take distance learning courses. They don't believe that distance learning is as effective as traditional methodologies, though it has a benefit which is it works well with their schedule. Most of the students don't want to take distance learning courses. The next is the statement of the problem. This study determines the perceptions of elementary students towards the effectiveness of modular learning during this pandemic. Specifically, the study will seek to answer the following questions. The first question is, are you learning through modular mode? Is it effective? The second question is, what are your experiences and struggles in the modular mode? The following question will be answered later. Next is the result and discussions. In this part, the results in each interview questions will be discussed. The first interview question is, are you learning through modular mode? All of the respondents answered yes to the question, meaning all of them are in modular mode. These following students are dealing with the new normal way of learning despite our situation nowadays. The second question is, what can you say about modular learning mode? Is it effective? Most of the respondents have the word hard in their answers. Modular learning is still hard for them and they have different reasons why it is. One respondent answered that modular learning is good because it can benefit the students and it can train their minds. All of them somehow learn from the modular mode. The third question is, can you understand the lessons without the help of the teachers? Majority of the respondents said that they understand the lessons without the help of the teachers. The reason is that modules have guides that they can base on so they can understand and learn. Some of them answered that they can't understand the lesson sometimes. For the number 4 question, who helped you in learning and understanding the lesson in each of your subjects? Most of the respondents answered that their ates are helping them in understanding their lessons. Some of them are helped by their mothers. One respondent said that he or she learns only by himself or herself. Number 5, what are the struggles that you encounter during the modular mode of learning? Some of the respondents have difficulties in writing, reading, and understanding the modules. Some of them are stressed and it caused them to feel dizzy. Others were annoyed and impatient when answering the modules and they couldn't understand the topic or lessons. The number 6 question is, do you use the internet in learning through modular modes? 4 out of 7 respondents said that they are not using the internet when answering the modules. They only used and read the explanation part in their module for them to answer the question. The rest of the respondents were using the internet in answering the modules. The number 7 question is modular learning enough for you this school year? Most of the respondents answered yes in this question. Since the pandemic has not yet ended, they have no choice but to comply with the modular learning. Some of the respondents said that modular learning is enough for them this school year. Question number 8. What do you think are some advantages of modular learning? The majority of the answers of the respondents in the advantages of modular learning is that they can always stay at their house and they can play regularly. Some of them answered that in modular learning, they can help their parents in the house and they can hold their time and spend it on their own. One respondent answered that modular learning can enhance their minds because they are learning by themselves. Question number 9. What do you think are some disadvantages of modular learning? Most of the answers say that the disadvantages of modular learning is that they can understand some topics or lessons. It also causes stress to them because it's hard and at the same time, there's no teacher to explain the topic unlike in regular classes. One respondent said that some of the modules are incomplete, thus they can't understand the lessons truly. Number 10, can you cope up with the new normal way of learning? The respondents that can cope up with the new normal way of learning is greater than those who are not yet able to adjust with the modular learning. According to them, they have no choice but to cope up with the new learning method this school year. If modular learning is still going to be implemented next school year, they can completely adjust with the modular learning method. And the last question is, in your opinion, which is better, face-to-face classes or modular learning? The respondents have different answers in these questions, but the majority of them said that face-to-face is better than modular learning because there are teachers that can guide them and explain the lessons well. Some of them answered that modular learning is better because they find it hard to go to school every day. Now we're going back to our statement of the problem and we will answer the following questions based on the result. The first statement of the problem is, are you learning through modular mode? Is it effective? Based on the answers of the chosen respondents, they are all learning through modular mode. Modular learning is somehow effective for the majority of them. They can learn through it and can cope with it. But others are still not yet able to cope up with the new normal way of learning. They are still adjusting and learning to handle modular classes. The overall result shows that most of the respondents don't use the internet in answering their modules. These students are the younger ones and in lower grades. They only use the module itself in understanding and answering each lesson. Other respondents sometimes use the internet in answering their modules. These students are those in higher grade. They are searching for additional information about the lessons or even the explanation of a certain topic if there is no given explanation in the module. Since we're still in a pandemic, these students chose to continue their studies by using modules. They are still complying with the requirements on each of their subjects. The second statement of the problem is, what are your experiences and struggles in the modular mode? Based on the respondents' experiences, there are advantages and disadvantages in modular method. In modular learning, they can't always play outside, but instead they stay at home and answer the modules. They can also decide how to spend their time because they are staying at home and not going to school. One respondent said that modular learning enhances their minds because they are learning on their own. It can make them smarter. Despite the fact that they are learning without the guide of the teachers, their older siblings and mothers are somehow helping them to understand lessons in certain subjects. Overall, based on the respondents' experiences in modular learning, it proves that modular learning in elementary schools has advantages and disadvantages, and it can somehow help them and at the same time can cause stress and pressure. The next is the interpretation. The gathered data above are significant in knowing and identifying the situation of elementary students in modular learning this pandemic. The overall result shows that elementary students are still struggling and adjusting to the new normal way of learning. It also shows that they are somehow learning and understanding certain lessons, even though no teacher can guide them. Since they are learning on their own, they have many struggles, and these struggles cause them a lot of pressure and stress. Other respondents see modular learning as a challenge to them and find it enjoyable while others find it hard to deal with. Modular learning is hard, especially for those students who can't learn by their own. A lot of students were struggling this school year just to comply all the requirements in school. Many of them were still adjusting and trying to cope up with the new normal way of learning. This modular learning method has advantages and disadvantages in every student based on the result of the respondent's answer in the interview. According to the findings, some respondents can cope up in the new normal learning method, but most of them are still adjusting and want to have a face-to-face classes. The overall findings in this research can help to speak up the situation of elementary students in modular learning. Also, it can help the school to think of another way that the students can truly learn and modular learning can be more effective. The next part is the conclusions. The following were the conclusions drawn based on the findings of the study. Since there are no face-to-face classes this school year, the students in every school in our country have no choice but to deal with the modular learning that is implemented for this year. Elementary, high school, and even senior high school students in public schools are engaging in the modular mode of learning. Elementary students are having a hard time in modular learning because there are some difficult lessons that they can't understand since they are learning on their own. It is hard for them to understand it without the help and explanation of the teachers. This is one of the disadvantages of modular learning according to the respondents. Most of the respondents said that modular learning is effective for them because they can learn from it and they understand other lessons with the help of their older siblings and mothers. They have adjusted to the new way of learning and are ready if modular learning will still be implemented next school year. 4 out of 7 respondents said that modular learning is enough for them this school year. This shows that the respondents are somehow learning to study on their own. Even though it is hard, they can manage to cope up in the new normal way of learning. Nevertheless, most of the respondents are eager to have face-to-face classes. They want it because they can learn more from their teachers and classmates, and the lessons will be explained well and they can truly learn from them. Aside from that, they can socialize with the other students and can make friends. This can help them to have a stable mental health and a good socialization. The next part is the recommendations. Based on the conclusions cited, the following hereby recommended. The first recommendation is for the students. Students should continue to comply with the requirements given by the school in order to get a remarkable grades. They should also answer their modules and do the required tasks on time to avoid stress. In answering the modules, they should answer it based on their understanding and not on the internet so that they can test their learning ability and they can improve it. They shouldn't give up in their study despite of the hardship and struggles that they will encounter. For the teachers, teachers should make his or her students understand the lessons in each subject. He or she should make a consultation every week so that the students can understand the lessons he or she has difficulty in dealing with. The teachers should also be approachable so that the students can approach him or her easily if this student is having a hard time in his or her studies. This will result in a more effective school year. Students will surely learn just like in face-to-face classes. And for the third, school administrators. School administrators must think and provide another plan on how to make modular learning more effective. They should also provide a complete set of modules with proper explanation for each subject. they should make sure that the modules are readable and understandable so that the students can easily understand them since they are learning on their own. The last part is the documentation. Here in the documentation, these are the pictures while conducting the interview in the respondents. The respondent one, as you can see, is 8 years old and a grade 1 student. Respondent 2 is 9 years old, a grade 1 student also. Respondent 3 is 11 years old, a grade 3 student. Respondent 4 is 11 years old, a grade 5 student. Respondent 5 is 11 years old, a grade 5 student too. Respondent 6 is 12 years old, a grade 5 student. And the last one, respondent 7 is 13 years old, a grade 6 student. Thank you for listening today. I hope that you understand my presentation. Have a good day and God bless.